Commander TRX's voice crackled over the control room, his forearms gesticulating in disbelief. You mean to tell me these humans eat spicy food for fun? Around him, the officers of the Vork's Dominion fleet exchanged nervous glances. They were already on edge about this campaign, but this revelation sent an eerie chill through the room. The Vork's Dominion had ruled the galaxy unchallenged for centuries, systematically subjugating species who dared oppose their might. Until now, reports had begun to filter in about a backwater species from the Sol system, a race that had clawed its way out of their gravity well with sheer ingenuity and defiance of all logic: humanity. The intelligence dossier was sparse. Their technology wasn't advanced, their physiology wasn't exceptional, and yet they had already annihilated 3 exploratory fleets. TRX wasn't worried, yet. They were just another rebellious species, albeit one with an odd penchant for survival. The humans' refusal to negotiate and their proclivity for excessive violence was already infamous. The Dominion planned to crush them as it had countless others. But something about these humans was different. Deploy the shock troops, TRX ordered, his confidence tinged with impatience. Let's remind these primitives why the Dominion is supreme. The humans didn't wait for the Dominion to strike first. Before the landing pods even reached Earth's atmosphere, coordinated missiles, seemingly cobbled together with duct tape and audacity, shot from hidden silos. They didn't match the sleek, precise weaponry of the Dominion. They didn't need to. They simply worked. The pods carrying the shock troops spiraled out of control, slamming into the planet like meteors. Those that survived the landing found themselves in a nightmare. Human resistance forces, garbed in mismatched armor and wielding primitive projectile weapons, swarmed them like ants. Their tactics were brutal, unrelenting, and utterly alien to the Dominion's rigid, calculated strategies. Captain Vorin, leading a squad of Vork soldiers through the ruins of a human city, quickly realized that nothing here made sense. They don't retreat, he hissed into his communicator as his squad was pinned down by relentless gunfire. Even when they're outnumbered, they charge. A grenade arced through the air and landed near Vorin. His instincts kicked in, and he activated his energy shield. The explosion sent a shockwave through his defenses, but as he turned to regroup, a human leapt from the rubble and tackled him. The creature's strength was terrifying. Vorin struggled against it as the human jabbed a knife repeatedly into his shield generator. The shield sputtered and died. Vorin's last thought as the knife plunged into his chest was, they look so fragile. Far above the carnage, Commander TRX was receiving updates from his officers, each one more baffling than the last. The humans don't follow any predictable combat patterns, Commander, reported Lieutenant Zax. They improvise constantly. Their strategies seem to be made up as they go. What do you mean, improvise? TRX snapped. Warfare is a science. Not to them, Zax replied grimly. They're treating it like art. TRX slammed a clawed fist onto the console. Then outthink them. Deploy the mechs. I want this planet reduced to rubble within the hour. The Dominion's towering war machines descended from the fleet, their energy cannons scorching the earth. For a brief moment, it seemed the tide would turn. Entire human battalions were obliterated under the onslaught. But then the humans adapted again. They lured the mechs into urban centers, where the narrow streets and collapsed buildings restricted their movements. Small groups of soldiers, armed with nothing but explosives and an apparent death wish, clambered onto the machines and began dismantling them piece by piece. A single soldier on foot could never hope to stand against one of the Dominion's mechs, but a dozen working in concert could. The machines fell, one after another, under the humans' relentless ingenuity. How do they keep doing this? TRX demanded, his frustration boiling over. They're a Type 0 civilization. This shouldn't be possible. Commander, Zax replied, his voice heavy with unease, it's not just their weapons. It's their mindset. These humans fight like they have nothing to lose. Back on Earth, General Hayes stood amidst the rubble of what had once been a bustling metropolis. His uniform was torn, and his face was streaked with dirt and blood. Around him, the remnants of his forces prepared for yet another assault. There was no time to mourn the losses. Every man here knew that victory wasn't just about survival. It was about sending a message. "They think they can break us," Hayes said, his voice calm but carrying the weight of conviction. "They think we're just another species to dominate. But they don't understand what it means to be human." One of his soldiers, a younger man barely out of his teens, frowned. "Sir, what does it mean?" Hayes glanced at him, a faint smirk playing at his lips. "It means we'll win, not because we're smarter or stronger, but because we refuse to lose." The soldier nodded, gripping his rifle tighter. Around them, the others did the same. Hayes didn't need to say more. As the battle wore on, the Vork's Dominion realized that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, numbers, or even their surprising adaptability. It was their sheer, unrelenting determination. TRX watched in disbelief as footage from the battlefield poured in. Human civilians, armed with makeshift weapons, were throwing themselves into the fray. Farmers with pitchforks, engineers wielding repurposed tools, and even children setting traps in the ruins of their homes. Every inch of ground gained by the Dominion was soaked in blood and sweat, and every victory felt hollow as the humans regrouped and struck back with renewed ferocity. "They're not fighting to win," Zax muttered, staring at the screen. "They're fighting to make us lose." TRX's patience snapped. "Prepare the orbital strike cannon," he barked. "If they won't submit, we'll burn their entire planet to ash." But humanity had anticipated this. As the Dominion's flagship prepared to fire, dozens of human spacecraft, barely more than glorified tin cans, launched from hidden bases on Earth. Their target wasn't the Dominion fleet, but the massive orbital cannons themselves. The humans knew they couldn't match the Dominion ship-to-ship, so they didn't try. Instead, they flew their ships directly into the cannons, sacrificing themselves to disable the weapons. One by one, the cannons went dark, leaving the Dominion fleet vulnerable to Earth's surface-to-space missile barrages. In the control room, TRX slammed his fists onto the console, his frustration boiling over into rage. "This is madness," he roared. "They're animals. They don't care about their own lives." "Perhaps that's why we're losing," Zax said quietly. On Earth, the humans continued to press their advantage, turning every defeat into an opportunity. With each passing day, the Vork's Dominion lost ground, resources, and morale. TRX's once mighty fleet was reduced to a shadow of its former glory. In the final hours of the campaign, TRX stood alone on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the blue-green marble of Earth. He had underestimated humanity, not just as warriors, but as a species. They were unpredictable, chaotic, and reckless, but they were also fiercely united in their determination to survive. "Commander," Zax's voice broke through the silence, his tone resigned. "We received a transmission from the humans. They're offering terms of surrender." TRX's claws clenched. "Ours or theirs?" Zax hesitated. "Ours?" For the first time in his career, Commander TRX of the Vork's Dominion felt the weight of true defeat. He knew he could order one final, desperate attack, but it would only result in more losses, more lives wasted against an enemy that refused to break. "Transmit the order," TRX said at last, his voice hollow. "We withdraw." As the battered remnants of the Dominion fleet limped away from Earth, humanity began to rebuild. They buried their dead, repaired their cities, and prepared for the future. The war had cost them dearly, but they had proven something to the galaxy, that humanity was not to be underestimated. And somewhere in the ruins, a child played with a broken piece of Vork's technology, dreaming of the stars.